started, let's talk about why you're here. The ultimate key to tilting the money time ratio in your favor will be leverage. This is one of my favorite quotes of all time from Gary Keller. Leverage is divided into 3 categories: people, systems, and tools. I know you've heard me say this, quote many times, but what I'm doing here with you today with Tangie and Foreclosures Daily is providing, a system and a tool, using a list provider, as a way to optimize your time so you can make more money. One of the major things that I stress is working on money-making activities. And a lot of you are compiling your own list, which is great. You know what I mean? I have a saying as well: if you don't pay for it, you work for it, which that means you're taking a lot of time compiling these lists, which again, if that's where you are in your business, great. But one of the other things that I stress is also, how do we get from overwhelmed real estate investor where it's, you doing everything, right, to ultimately becoming a confident chief marketing officer in your real estate investor businesses. And a lot of time, again, it's the systems, the tool, and the people, okay? And again, this is why I brought Tangie here from Foreclosures Daily, because what she's going to be talking about is using, lists as, a power marketing, strategy, so you can get your, direct mail, your calls, your emails, whatever the list provider can provide you, get your marketing channels out the door so you can convert those leads into deal, get your phone ringing and convert those leads into deal, where you're ultimately doing what? Making money, right? Marketing is the money side of your business. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Tangie Cousins from Foreclosures Daily. Tangie Cousins has been working with investors, realtors, and attorneys for almost 15 years now, which
20.
is 20. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So when did you start? Did you start with Foreclosures Daily in 2004, Tangie?
Yes.
So yeah, so fun fact, when I was working with Fan, when I started, at CT Homes with Fan, Foreclosures Daily was our list provider. So all those hundreds and hundreds of houses that we did then, even back in 2004 was, provided by Foreclosures Daily, because we didn't compile any of our own lists. We were really buying lists so we could do high volume back at that time for sure. But one of the main reasons I wanted to bring Foreclosures Daily here is because they have they're a list provider who updates their lists on a weekly or daily basis. And that's one of my number one, components of choosing a list provider, is just how fresh and good their lists are, number one. And number two, Foreclosures Daily and Tangie is working with some of the top 1% real estate investors in the country right now who are having major success in the real estate investment businesses. So that is why, so Tangie has kind of the pulse on what is working in today's market, not what was working in 2017, now into 2024. So without further ado, Tangie, you can continue to introduce yourself and just, tell us what some of the hottest lists are in 2024 right now.
Thank you so much, Marina. I really, really appreciate it. And also, I've got a bit of a surprise for you. At the end of this call, I'm going to be announcing some bonuses that we're giving away just for people staying on the call. And anybody that takes any action between now and Thursday, we'll be getting a special bonus as well. We'll be announcing all of that in the end, so please stay on. As far as Q&A, please send your questions during the whole entire presentation. Like Marina said, we will not be answering them until the end. We certainly don't want you to forget your question, so it will not bother us if you send them during the presentation. That way, when we end, we can answer your questions immediately, and you don't have to try to remember what you were going to ask. So please feel free to send them the entire time. We are a nationwide lead provider. We provide leads to investors, realtors, attorneys, and just your basic first-time home buyer. And we've been in the business, like Marina said, since 2004. So it's been 20 years. This October, it'll be 20 years since I helped them start the company, and I've been with them ever since. So since then, we've been the internet's #1 destination for the most detailed information out there and the most timely. We pride ourselves in how fast we get the leads to you so that you can be first to take action on them, and one of the first. I've been with foreclosure dealers since they opened, and since then I've helped many realtors, investors, and attorneys grow their business. So I teach the do's and don'ts of marketing. I have a lot of experience doing that, because not because I'm currently doing it, it's because I've listened to you guys for the past 20 years tell me what works and what hasn't, and I've compiled up this beautiful spreadsheet to talk about marketing and the hottest leads, do's and don'ts. So, and I've learned from people just like you. So I've come right from the ground up, guys, and I'm going to share with you all of the knowledge that I've learned over the years. No, many ways we are different. All of our leads have real estate attached, and they're available every single week. Every single week, you're going to have brand new leads to go after. Property appraisers information is going to be on most of the leads that we offer, such as bedrooms, baths, type of property, just some basic information about the property, enough information for you to be able to try to decide if it's something that you want to go after. Most companies that we've found, guys, are quarterly. Even the companies today that are now saying they're monthly or weekly, they're not fresh leads. A lot of companies out there that are saying, oh, we have fresh leads. They're not, guys. They're like 90 days old or 6 months old. Just because they're providing them to you on a weekly basis does not mean they're fresh and weekly. But most companies we've found are quarterly, and they're not farming for real estate. That means 300 people will literally file probate or divorce in 1 week. Maybe only 15 of them are going to have property. Nobody wants to market to 300 people if they only needed to really market to 15. Think about how much mail that's wasting, how much skip tracing costs you're spending on marketing to 300 people that most of them don't even own property. Only 7 to 10% of the people that file probate actually own real estate. So could you imagine wasting 93% of your marketing? That's skip tracing, cold calling, mailing, stamps, envelopes, your time. I mean, it's just unbelievable the cost that's thrown down the tubes because somebody wants to save $50 and go with a different provider. So that's the benefit of using our list, is we understand the importance of having fresh leads that is farm for physical real estate. Some of the leads that we provide are probate, reprobate, inheritance, code violation, eviction, divorce. That's just some of them. But I've named only those 6 because they are by far some of the best leads you will ever get, especially, probates and pre-probates, which we'll talk about in a few moments. The biggest problem people have is their fear. They cannot get out of their own way. And they're in their own head about why a list can't work for them. And I can't use this because of this, or I can't use this because I only know how to do foreclosures. Well, first of all, you're not the actual one going through it. They are. So I'm going to teach you why it doesn't matter what list you're working. And here's why. The biggest challenge I hear today is people's fears. I don't know how to do it. I've never done it before. I don't know the process. And what I teach people, it's okay that you don't know how. It's okay that you've never done it. And it's okay that you don't know the process. You don't need to know their job, guys. You need to know your job, which is marketing, answering the phone, running comps, visiting the property, estimating rehab and repair costs, putting an offer in, and writing a contract. Guys, regardless of what you're doing with the property, the end result is you need to know all this before you get the property. So train yourself on your job. Get with a good speaker. Pay her or him to be your speaker, and expend your money in that. Don't spend your money learning the probate process, the foreclosure process, the divorce process. All you're teaching yourself at the end of the day is how to go through your own divorce, or go through a probate yourself when you lose a loved one. So I mean, you don't need to know that to purchase a property. Let me boil it down to the ridiculous. If I was Marina's neighbor and she knew I got a house, whether it be from probate or I'm going through a divorce or foreclosure, but she knows, hey, my neighbor of 10 years has a house and I think she might want to sell it. She's going to go out and be like, Tangie, I'm going to go and get in my car and get a $10,000 training course before I can come back and ask you if you want to sell, because I need to know how to go through the probate process, because I know that's what you're dealing with. Sounds silly, right? But that's what people do. They won't work a list until they do that. So I tell you, hey, spend your $5,000, $10,000 on your trainer. Learn your job. Don't learn my job. I'm going through probates over here next door. Marina's just going to walk outside and be like, hey, Tangie, are you interested in selling you guys this property? What are you guys thinking about doing? You know why? Because she's comfortable with me and she knows me and I live next door. If that was the case, guys, I'm just giving you a scenario. So you put me across town though, and Marina's never spoke to me. She or the next investor might be like, oh gosh, I don't really know what to say. Not that she would feel that way. I'm just using her as an example. But that's how investors feel. You put them across town, now they're like, oh God, I don't know what to say to somebody who's going through probate or divorce. But if they were your neighbor, you just walk outside and talk to them. So why are people so scared to mail to somebody who just lost a loved one, mail to somebody who just filed for a divorce, mail to somebody who's going through foreclosures, or call them? Because they don't know what to say. That's what we're going to talk about today, okay? That's what I'm going to teach you today after I talk about some of these leads, is how to approach them, what to say, and the do's and don'ts of marketing. It's the whole point of this call, okay? Not for me to sign you up for some thing that you're not interested in doing. I mean, listen, the end goal is I sell leads. If you want to purchase leads, that's great. If you don't, that's okay. Then take this free training and run with it and do whatever you want with it. But at the end of the day, Marina has me on here to give you free knowledge. Regardless if you take action on my leads or not, I'm going to give you free knowledge, okay? So your job is marketing, answering the phone, running comps, visiting the property, estimating rehab and repair costs, putting an offer in, and writing a contract. Guys, if you cannot estimate rehab and repair costs, there's going to be a lot of problems, because you can't be bringing your cash offer to these people and then going to another investor if you're wholesaling it and not estimating the rehab and repair costs correctly. Because if you underestimate what needs to be done and you don't realize it needed a new roof, or you don't realize it's, cracking in the foundation, or if you don't realize that the whole kitchen needs to be replaced, and you go walk up to somebody you're wholesaling the property to and be like, hey, this needs only $10,000 of lipstick. You're going to pocket 30 grand. They're going to pocket only 40, and they find out that all this needs to be done after they get there. Do you think they're going to trust what you say in the future? They're going to be sitting at McDonald's with 5 other cash buyers that are going to your real estate meeting talking about the bad deal you just brought them, and none of them are going to trust you. You got to know what you're doing. So get your training, know how to estimate rehab and repair costs, because no matter what, regardless of what you're going to do and your end result is with this property, you have to know how to buy it. Okay. But guys, probates by far are some of the best properties that are out there. They have the most equity. They typically don't mind taking a discount, and they're very, very motivated to sell. Probate is a legal process wherein the estate of a decedent is administered. When a person dies, his or her estate must go through probate. It's a court process that has to be overseen by a court. Now listen, I cannot tell you how many people think, I don't have to go through probates, I have a will. That is the whole point of going through probates, is to get your will administered, and the personal representative sees that happens whatever is supposed to happen in that will. You very much have to go through probate. Even if you have a will, your children will still have to go through probate unless they inherit the property via a trust, or you do like a ladybird deed, which is also called a life enhanced estate, which is what I did. So there are a lot of things that you can do so your children don't have to pay $3,000 to go through probate. A life enhanced estate deed, it's kind of like a deed transfer, but it's better. And that's why I did it. When something happens to me, my property is already in my kids' names, but it doesn't affect me doing anything with it. I can live in this house for as long as I live. I can sell this house. I don't need their permission to sell it. I don't need them to sign off at my closing. I still have full authority on what happens with my property. And if I want to sell it tomorrow, I can. I don't need nobody's permission. I just did a life enhanced estate so that when I die, it's already going to be theirs. And all that cost me is like 50 or 60 bucks to file it with the clerk of courts. It's just like doing a deed transfer, but way better. So you do not have to go through probate if you leave your property in trust to your children, or do some sort of a ladybird deed or a life enhanced estate. That's the only time you're going to avoid probates. So just know that no matter what, you have to go through probate, okay? Most people, only 7 to 10% of the people that file probate actually have real estate. But out of those people, only a small amount will inherit their property via a trust. So most people do have to go through probate. Now, why probates are so great is people are 60 and 70 years old when their parents pass. When people lose their parents, they're usually older. They're usually established in their own life. They have their own house. They typically do not want mom and dad's property. They usually always want to sell the property. And because they didn't buy the property, they've got no skin in the game. So they typically don't mind taking really big discounts for their property. Guys, I just had somebody a couple months ago make $80,000 on wholesaling a probate. That was just their assignment fee. And somebody a couple weeks before that made $100,000. Those are huge, astronomical assignment fees that they're getting for wholesaling probates. And a lot of people think, and they make the mistake of thinking, oh, I can't do probates. They take forever. Guys, it doesn't matter how long probates take. You don't have to wait. In most states and counties, you can purchase the probates almost right away. If the summary administration has been filed, and even if the summary administration has not been filed, file an affidavit of heirship, and the judge typically signs right off on the property. So guys, I've got people getting probates in 2 weeks, literally 2 weeks. I mean, and then there's an attorney out there. He's helping people close their probates and getting them done within 5 to 14 days, and getting it to where they can buy it. And he doesn't even take a fee from you. If you contact one of my pre-probate leads, which we're going to talk about in just a few minutes, most of the time they haven't filed probate yet because they just lost their parents a week ago. So, or parent or a loved one, and you contact them, this guy will start their probate process for you at no charge and just charge you when you close. So it's awesome. But guys, all probate timelines are different, but just know that you don't have to wait for them before you can purchase the property. The judge typically will sign off almost right away. So a probate is 1 week after they file. We verify that there's real estate attached, and we give the lead to you 1 week later. Okay. The benefit of using a probate is if they do have to go through probate, at least they've already filed and they're closer to making a decision. And then there's pre-probate. What is a pre-probate? A pre-probate is 1 week after somebody passes or the death certificate has been filed. We verify there's real estate attached, and we give the lead to you 1 week later. Why are pre-probates good? Well, not only are you first at the door, but if they inherit the property via a trust, you can buy right now. No lines, no waiting typically, okay? That's a pre-probate. So a pre-probate and probate are both good. If you work one, should you work the other? Some people are like, oh, if I just get pre-probates and I don't need probate. Not true. It's called striking the iron while it's hot. We'll talk about that later on in the marketing, okay? Pre-probate and probates are best to work both. We also have inheritance, guys. Inheritance are really good too. When you're dealing with inheritance, you're dealing with somebody who inherits a property via a trust. But what's the difference between a pre-probate and an inherited then? Because I did say the benefit of working a pre-probate is if they inherit the property via a trust, they're going to be on that list. So why would you work an inherited too? Because the inherited is not just for people who inherit it via trust. It's also for completed probates if they're available in your area. And it's also for a lot of family deed transfers, a lot of interfamily transfers. A property that was transferred from one family member to the other in the amount of $0. So an inherited list is good too. A lot of times these people will still be living because on this list, family deed transfers are included. Therefore, they're still living. Like I would actually be on a family deed transfer list because I have a life enhanced estate and I kind of put the property in my kids' names already, right? So I would make that list. I might not be a good candidate to buy my house, but then again, I may. A lot of people will get, unfortunately, cancer and they'll inherit and they'll transfer the property right to their kids. They'll move in with their children and they'll transfer it to their kids. A lot of times those kids will sell the property while their parents are still living. So, I mean, there's a lot of different things that can benefit you by working all three lists. And it's called striking the iron while it's hot. Now, divorce leads are really good too. When you're dealing with divorce leads, you're dealing with a list of two people who have mutually or not mutually, one or the other. They're either in agreement or they're not in agreement, but they're going through divorce. They just started the divorce process. It's a legal dissolution of a marriage by a court or other competent body. So it's when two people have filed for a divorce or one person has filed for a divorce and they're getting a divorce and they own real estate. All of the leads that we give you will own property. The benefit of working a list like this is if they are going through a divorce, typically the property is their biggest fight. Property and kids, property and kids. That's the biggest fight when people are going through divorce. You can resolve that by walking in right now and offering them money on the property. You can wholesale these too. You can wholesale any of these leads, you guys. So divorces are good too. List pendants are still good today. I'm not going to pitch list pendants out of Florida. We will typically not even sell list pendants out of Florida right now. We thought when the moratorium was lifted, there was going to be this really big foreclosure boom. So we were telling all the students to go after foreclosures. So now you got all these newbies running around going after foreclosures, and the amount that's coming out is so small. And the banks are still totally working with everybody because they don't want to get stuck with all these homes during that year and a half we were kind of on lockdown. You know what I mean? So, list pendants, we're in Florida, but we're a nationwide company. We just chose not to do list pendants outside of Florida right now. But list pendants are still good. You know, you can still make money on list pendants. They're just not going to be as good as the 6 that I mentioned, which are probate, pre-probate inheritance, code violation, eviction, and divorce. I don't have a slide in the code violation and evictions, but I'm going to add it. But let me talk about those. Guys, code violations are amazing, especially the ones that are being violated for grown-up grass or overgrown trash and debris. When a property is being violated for grown-up grass and overgrown trash and debris, what that means is that's a pain point because they're not maintaining the property. Why are they not maintaining the property? Maybe they don't live in it anymore. Maybe they're going through foreclosures and they just don't care about that house anymore. But one way or the other, somebody's not caring about that property, and it's going to be a good motivational list for you if they're getting violated for grown-up grass and overgrown trash and debris. So code violation list is really good as well. And also what's really good is evictions. When you're dealing with tired landlords, that's really good, especially when they lifted the moratorium on that. During that 1.5 years, a lot of landlords were not able to collect rent because a lot of people couldn't afford to pay their rent, and they were being protected because we were kind of on shutdown. So once that moratorium was lifted, the eviction gates flooded in with a lot of tired landlords that are just wanting to liquidate their portfolios because they got stuck that 1.5 years not being able to collect rent, which put them behind on their properties, and a lot of them are going in foreclosure these days. So I mean, those are the top 6 leads that I do recommend. But if you are facing you know, foreclosure, or you're going through a divorce, or you're going through probates, you know, all of these things are pain points. People are in a situation to where their property is going to be having to be liquidated. And these are huge benefits of you purchasing these properties. And a lot of these properties, especially probates, have a ton of equity. That's the parents' biggest investment they ever made in their whole entire lives, is their property. Most people are not investors. They don't flip properties for a living. So they don't have 10 properties sitting around. They have one that they spent 30 years paying on. And when they pass at 80, 90 years old, a lot of times their properties are close to being paid off or paid off. But that usually was their biggest investment they ever made in their lives. So, and when they pass, their children are also older. So usually they're established in their life, they have their own house, they have their own property, and they typically do not want mom and dad's house. So those become very good. Probates and pre-probates are the best 2 lists out of everything we've talked about today. How these leads can help you as an investor: they can help you get properties for wholesale prices. How they can help you if you're a realtor, you can gain a lot of listings. I wrote a letter for a realtor, and she got like 5 listings in 2 weeks from the letter that I wrote for her, which I'll share with you. But you can gain listings. You can help your investors that come to you as a realtor. This will also help you in your personal investing. If you're an attorney, this can absolutely gain you business for your law firm, especially if you work the pre-probate list, because you can be the acting attorney on the probate case, if that's what you do. If you're a mortgage broker, this can get you refinances and loan modifications, and also help you in your personal investing. So these are different ways that the list can help you if you're wearing any of these hats. Sometimes we help first-time home buyers just buy a property. They work the list for a few months and they get a property under their belt, and they, you know, they're either going to do their first property as an investor and just starting to get into it, or they just want to buy a house for their personal reasons, you know. Marketing. So this is the marketing campaign we recommend. We recommend a 3 to a 6-step mailing campaign. Go ahead and screenshot this or take a picture. When you're mailing, we recommend you mail for a period of 6 to 7 months. If you cannot do it, some people's marketing budget just is not big, and they might only be able to mail for 3 months. I actually had somebody look at this slide. I think it was like July or August last year, and they waited 2 months to start their marketing because my slideshow said October. Don't do that. It was just October that I used for an example, you guys, okay? So if you can only do a 3-step mailing campaign and you're in October, you want to do October, November, skip December, and mail January. You have now turned your 3-step mailing campaign into 4 months, okay? You want to stretch this out as long as you can. The best case scenario is to mail every single month for the next 6 to 7 months. And by the time you get to your 7-step mailing campaign, it increases your response rates by 80%. That's a statistic set up from Go Big Printing last year. So that by the time you mail 6 to 7 times, it's going to increase your response rate by like 80%, they said. If you can only do a 4-step mailing campaign, turn it into 5 months by mailing October, November, December, as close together as you possibly can. Skip January, mail February. You've now turned it into a 5-month campaign. But the best case scenario is the 6 or 7-step, mail every single month for the next 6 to 7 months. Consistent marketing is very important, you guys. Consistency and patience is key. The early bird gets the worm and the squeaky wheel gets the grease. You want to be like commercials. It's just as important to be last as it is to be first, okay? So, I mean, Morgan and Morgan, like we the people for the people, everybody knows about that if you're in any of the southern states, because they're all over the place. They're on billboards, they're in your mailbox, they're on radio, they're on TV, they do Facebook ads. They just every single where, you guys, they're everywhere. So when somebody needs an attorney and they get hurt, they call Morgan and Morgan. We know that because they're really good at marketing. You need to be just as good at marketing. You need to be on their phone call. You need to be SMS text messaging them. You need to be ringless voicemail if it's legal in your area. You need to be in their mailbox. You need to be in everywhere, guys. You want to call and mail are the top two, but SMS, ringless voicemail are great things to add as well. And also email. You know, you want to be all over them when you're marketing to them. A lot of people want to know what types of leads do I market to that long? Do you market to everything that long? Absolutely not. You don't take an absentee owner and market to them 6, 7 times in the next 6, 7 months. Why would you? My dad, until he recently moved to Florida, he was an absentee owner because he owned a house in New York. He also owns one in Florida. Would he want your marketing every 2 weeks? No, he don't even have any reason to sell his house. But you don't know that, right? An absentee owner list could be good for 10 years. Just because they don't want to sell this year, they might want to sell 10 years down the road, or 5 years, or 4 years down the road, or 3 years. A lot of these people here in Florida, especially, they will have a house up north and a house here. And what they usually end up doing is having to go back home. Mom will get sick or dad will get sick. Well, they want to go back home and pass with their kids. So they'll leave their property here in Florida. And now that becomes a pain point for them. They've got a property. Now they're not maintaining it. It's hurricane season every year. Who's taking care of their property? Who's mowing their grass? It becomes a pain point for them. It's a thorn in their side. They got to get rid of this property. So absentee owners can be good for a long time, but you don't need to do consistent marketing to them for the next 6 months. You could do consistent marketing to them for the next 10 years. But if you're looking at the types of lists that you want to market to for a period of time, you look at the time frame it usually takes to go through that. Divorce take 1 to 2 years sometimes. I'd say 6 months to a year and a half, usually. So I'd be marketing to a divorce list for a year and a half. Probate could take 2 to 4 months. It could take 6 to 8 months. It could take a year or two if kids are fighting over the property. Pre-probate, that's even longer, especially if they have to go through probate, unless they inherit it via trust, of course, and then it's going to be quick. So you want to look at the list that you're marketing and go, are they going through a process? How long is a typical average process? Foreclosures, really good to market to for 6, 7 months. I have people marketing to probates and pre-probates and going a year back. I have one guy that every time he adds a county, he pays me $1,750 for a year going forward to probates and $1,750 for a year going back. And he gets a lot of deals off of that back data too. But not, he's going to get more off his current data, but going back is just as important as going forward. So that tells you that you want to market to your list multiple months. Okay. Anybody that's going through a process. So there's a lot of unique marketing techniques that you can use today that work for people, especially the yellow letter. The yellow letter came out like 15 years ago, 20 years ago, and people are still using it today, and it's still proven, tested, and tried. Different shaped envelopes, birthday cards. I even got one guy that has his mother moved into an assisted living facility, and he buys them pizza every week, and they all handwrite the letters because they have that shaky handwritten letter. They have that shaky handwriting, so they handwrite all of his envelopes, not his letters, I'm sorry, his envelopes. And then I have one guy who kind of does something similar. He has school-age children that get together on Sundays, and he buys them pizza and soda, and they all draw stick people with crayons all over his envelopes. Guys, things like that are going to get your letters opened, okay? So if you're dealing with marketing and you're competing with a lot of people, which you won't be in probate and pre-probate, the competition is very minimal because of people's lack of knowledge of probate and pre-probate and thinking that you have to finish before you buy, so they won't work it. So the competition is very minimal. But when you work foreclosures and things like that, and you're trying to beat the competition, you've got to be different, okay? You got to do different things to set yourself aside. I've got one person who takes those little worry dolls. When you get to those restaurants, they barely weigh anything. There's little teeny stick dolls you can hold on your pinky, and they give them to you at the table. He buys like 1,000 of them for nothing at Amazon and puts them in the envelope so it's like lumpy mail. So there's a lot of unique things you can do. I even recommended putting the word cash involved in the back. And if you feel like that's, that's kind of misleading because you're offering them cash offer, just throw a penny in there. You can even do dollar sign symbols and put the word involved in the back. There's a lot of unique marketing techniques that you can use to get your mail open today. So those are some good things that you can do. See here, I'm just trying to keep track of time. Guys, look at your marketing and you want to be very careful. This is very hard to read. Remember earlier I said when people lose their parents, they're typically 60s and 70s. I mean, I have glasses to read the computer now. It's hard for me to see Tylenol bottles now. I'm 52. So, I mean, but it's so weird how fast it happens, right? Because literally last year I was only using glasses to drive. But now I have to have 2 different pairs to do different things because I can't do the bifocal thing. It makes me feel dizzy. But when you look at this letter, you can barely read it. The font's too crazy. The words are too close together. The letters are too close together. It's kind of like cursive almost. When you do marketing, you got to be very careful. I actually had somebody send this to me to critique their marketing, and I told them to throw them all away. It was a 4-step mailing campaign. And here's what it says. Dear Miss Story, selling your house has never been easier. As discussed, well, hold on. If this is your first marketing piece, why are you writing as discussed? Did you talk to Miss Story? And if so, why are you sending her a letter? Why are you not over there closing the deal? You know what I mean? So that's several things wrong with this. You've never discussed anything with her, right? And if you are, why are you remarketing to her? Why are you not calling her on the phone now? So another thing is, like I said, you can't read this. I can pocket all the money, no realty commissions. Let's go to the second one. Dear Miss Smith, I'm still interested in buying your house. As you know, what do you mean as she knows? How does she know anything? How do you even know she read your marketing? Again, have you talked to her on the phone? This is not good, you guys. Dear Miss Story, this is the third one. Quickly selling your house can take away the strain of showing it to a lot of people that you don't know. Hold on. She don't know you either. There's so much wrong with this marketing. You got to be careful when you guys do marketing today, okay? This is a really good marketing piece. This is Go Big Printing's font, the handwritten font. You could use any marketing company, but Go Big Printing does a really good job. The reason I'm contacting you, I wrote this letter, is I understand that there may be a property for sale. If there is real estate for sale, I would like to buy your property. I can close fast cash as is in less than 30 days. Hey, you can even leave the unwanted items in your house. You don't even need to clean, update, rehab, repair the property. I can buy as is. Guys, when people are going through probate, they think, oh my God, when you call them, I can't sell my house. Is your house for sale? Well, actually, no, it's going to be about 6 months. I have to go through probate. It's still got the old horse and buggy wallpaper. It's got the paneling. I've got to change out the tub, the old tile. They don't know they can sell it right now. Number one, they don't know. They think they got to go through probate first. This is their first time too. And they're not even an investor. They don't have as much knowledge as you have, right? They don't know that they can sell it and just bring an offer to the attorney, and the attorney can bring the offer to the judge. They don't know that you'll buy it the way that it is. You have to tell them these things. Think about things that you would want to read if you went to the mailbox. So sending this letter out is very good because it talks about positive things. When you do marketing, here's the do's and don'ts. Never talk about somebody's unfortunate situation. I had a guy, another person, and his wife, wanting me to critique their marketing. And their letter, no lie, started out, Dear Mr. and Mrs. or Dear Mr. Smith, or the family members of John Smith, or whatever they wrote. I understand there may be a property for sale. My wife and I are working on a residual income for our retirement, and we'd like to buy your home. Our deepest condolences, to your recent passing. Guys, it was awful. It was I remember what it was now. Our recent condolences of your recent passing. My wife and I are working on a residual income for our retirement, and we'd like to buy your property. What a slap in the face. Number one, you brought up the fact that somebody died. You're giving condolences on somebody you didn't even know, and it wasn't brought up to you. You're bringing a pain point up, and you're making that human feel terrible inside. So you're immediately bringing the claws out for them to lash out and go, how dare you? You don't want to do that. Your marketing needs to be nice. You need to find solutions, overcome their fears, address their concerns that you know that they have, fix their problems, and never talk about unfortunate situations. Right, I understand there may be a property for sale. If there is a property for sale, I would love to buy your property. I can close fast, cash, as is. Less than 30 days. Hey, you don't need to clean, pick up, rehab, repair. I can buy the property right now. Whether you're going through probates or divorce or foreclosure, I don't know if you know this, but you can sell your property right away, and I can tell you how. If you want to bring up their situation, you can, but do it like that. That way you're not saying, hey, I know you're in probate, or hey, I know you're going through foreclosure, but you're also getting out there that, hey, you could sell now. I'm not sure if you know this or not, but you can, because you want to educate them too. So there's a lot of unique things that you can do in your marketing. Realtor letter. This is perfect. I love this. I wrote this for Peggy out of Maryland. I'm not going to tell you who. Hi, my name is Jane Doe. She got 5 listings in 2 weeks, guys, when she sent my letter. She's like, oh my God, Tangie, I got 5 listings. She was so excited. Hi, my name is Jane Doe. I'm a local realtor with RE/MAX. I would like to help you sell your property at 2000 Smith Avenue. If you would like to sell your property or just know the value for free, call me. She's offering a free value of the property. Most people are going to trust a realtor over anybody because of their profession. They're a professional business person, like an attorney. They're going to trust a realtor and attorney before they're going to trust just anybody, right? So they have an advantage, and they can get the listing, and they can offer free value of the property. So if you're not a realtor and you have a realtor, you may want to have her or him send marketing for you to get this as investment property, because she can offer to list their property or sell their property, right? To somebody like an investor like you. So always have a realtor in your belt. And if you're a realtor, you can get a lot of listings from this, and you can help your personal investors and your personal investing yourself. And so you can increase your revenue in your business. Either way, you're going to make money. Now, this is an investor letter that I wrote for Amanda Young. She is, and I don't mind talking about her because she's been my speaker before as well as me being her speaker at her real estate club. She won a free month, the Foreclosures Daily, and I don't ever recommend buying a small subscription. We don't even have a month subscription because people don't sit still long enough to make money. So we make them by making them purchase a 3-month, a 6-month, or a year, but I highly recommend 6-month or the year. You got to give your list a chance to produce, function, and show results. But she hit the jackpot on a 1-month subscription because she marketed to it for a long time. But even after she got this property, within the first 2 weeks of her winning this subscription, she struck a deal from sending this letter. My name is Dave Turner. I'm interested in your property at 5500 Spring Lake Square. Please let me know if you're interested in selling, or if you know anybody in the area who may be. That's all she said. And she got one property, which, by the way, she rented it out for a year. A year later, her tenant offered to buy the property. She took the money from that, turned it into 1031 exchanges, bought 2 more properties, and now she's left her job, and she does investing for a living and runs a whole real estate group now too. So guys, one deal could make your whole life change, okay? Just sending a simple, basic marketing. I've got one guy who does a 3-touch campaign. All he does, he goes to the Dollar General or Walmart, and he buys those little index cards that have no writing on them. Remember the ones we used to have when we were in school, like the flashcards? And he literally puts in handwritten, this is his first touch. It's a small card in an envelope. It just says, I'm interested in the property at 1234 whatever street. You know what his response rate is? 3, 5, 10, and 15%. The national average response rate for mail marketing is 0.5 to 1.5%. He's getting 3, 5, 10, and 15% response rates with this 3-step marketing campaign. Just one envelope, one small card. I'm interested in your property, blah, blah, blah. Give me a call. He's done. And then the next month, he says, I sent you the letter about a month ago, or a card about a month ago, expressing interest in your property. Have you considered selling yet? You could put, do you have this property? I'm very interested in buying it. You just very simple, generic marketing. And if he didn't get a response the first and second time, the third time he says, hi, we are a local investing company purchasing properties in a few select areas. He completely changes it to his business. That way, if he didn't get hurt the first 2 times, he may get a hit off of this. So these are some really good marketing techniques that you can do to get your people to reach out to you. And it's a very, very cheap way to do it. Exit strategies that are profitable. We all know wholesaling is really big right now, okay? But another one that I really like is the lease with the option to buy. Many would-be buyers have very poor credit today, but they have a lot of cash. especially these youngsters these days. They're saving up money, but they have no credit or bad credit, and they just can't buy a house. They will very much come to your lease with the option to buy. Let's say they put $5,000, $10,000 down. Guess what? 3 years, they fix their credit, they're out of there. And who gets to keep the 10 grand? You. And you get to do that over and over and over and over. And that makes for an amazing exit strategy. I know a speaker that teaches this, does very well, and his students do very well as well. And it's a great exit strategy. A lot of people come to your home and they do the lease with the option to buy because they can't afford to get a loan, but they got money. They got money, but no credit. So your property becomes their lifelong dream property that they've always wanted because this is all they can do. But in 3 to 5 years, when they fix their credit, they're out of there and you get to keep the down payment and do it again and again and again. And you can do this for 30 years and make so much money off these many would-be buyers that are going to take your property for a small period of time. So, but just those are some of the exit strategies. This is Amanda Young. She wrote this. I happened to win 1 month of probate leads at my local real estate meeting. At the time, I only had one rental house, which I purchased off the MLS. So mailing letters from a list was foreign to me, but with the help from Tangie and using her standard letter, I tweaked it and I mailed them out. I received a call, made an offer, closed my first probate and subject to. 1 year later, my tenant bought the house, made an offer I couldn't refuse. I used the profits and 1031 exchanged into 2 more investment homes. I turned 1 deal into 2. And as a newbie, I couldn't really believe how mailing letters would turn out to be my best deal yet. So guys, she's a real person. You can look her up on Facebook, Amanda Young. She runs Spring Hill Real Estate Investors Group. These are postcards I don't do, but I picked out for you. You get a lot of bonuses, you know, just for being a part of Marina's deal here. I put together some bonuses that we're going to give you. And one of the bonuses we're going to give you is postcards and letters. And you're going to get access to a mail house company that'll mail these postcards for you for only 42 cents with postage. Nobody does that, guys. You cannot find a mail house company out there that will do this for 42 cents with postage. So if you mail postcards out, most companies charge $1 to $1.25 to mail the postcards. They have the Google Street View. It's got a picture of their own house. I like the one with the arrow. I would point an arrow to it and go, is this your house? Are you selling? It's a really good postcard. People love it. They get great responses because people typically call up and want to know how you got the picture of their house. So it's kind of like the curiosity killed the cat type of deal. This gets some really good responses. Now here's the handwritten letter with a handwritten font. Earlier it was the typed one, but this company does a handwritten font that makes it look like you hand wrote the letter yourself. And they only charge 64 cents with postage to do these, guys. So here's the bonuses you're going to receive. I'm going to mail you this probate book. It's called, let me see if I can open this up. It's called Probate Real Estate Sales 101. If you have a Kindle, you can actually download it for free. Probate Real Estate Sales 101. And I do host monthly webinars, and I've had the honor of having Kevin Sales, S-A-Y-L-E-S. I've had the honor of having him in my webinar multiple times, teaching the 7 ways to make money with probate real estate investing. So not only will we mail you this book, Probate Real Estate Sales 101, which is a very easy, look how thin this is. And there's so much packed knowledge in here about doing probates. It may scare some people because he's in California, the author. So that their laws are way more stringent. It's so much easier to buy them anywhere else. And it's not that hard to buy them in California. It's just that some things in the book may seem a little bit confusing, but it's guys, it's making an offer to a homeowner who owns a property. That's it. Don't make it any more complicated than that. You get my phone scripts. You get my email to send to the attorneys. You get the postcards and letters, samples. You get the probate book. We give you access to a code that will give you deeply discounted skip tracing for only 10 to 15 cents and get you phone numbers and emails. We also give you access to a link to the mail house company, and they'll mail those postcards for you for 38 to 42 cents and 64 cents for the letters. So you get a lot of bonuses just for purchasing leads through us using Marina's code. It's Marina 1000. And if you purchase any leads between now and Thursday, we're going to give you a free county. You're never going to get more than 25 leads a week. So if you buy probates for, let's say, Hillsborough County, Florida, They might get 30 to 35 leads a week. Guys, when you work these types of leads, you're going to get a small group of people, but you're going to yield massive responses. And you're going to increase your revenues, tenfold with working a small list. So you don't have to market to very many. If I told you, hey, you can market to 20 to 25 leads a week and make a heck of a lot more than marketing to a random homeowner list of 10,000 names, you're going to jump all over the 20 to 25. When you work these types of leads, it's a small group of people, but you're going to yield a much higher response. We have to have a weekly cap of 25 leads a week for one county. Most counties don't have 25 a week. So if you pick a county that's only getting 10 or 12 a week, we'll throw a county in for free. But you're going to get a free county anyway. Anybody who purchases between now and Thursday and mentions Marina 1000, which is Marina's code, you're going to get discounted prices. These are all discounted for her code, and you're going to get a free county. You're not going to have to pay half off, but you do have to purchase a 6-month commitment or a year. If you want 6 months of probates, it's $999. If you want 6 months of pre-probate, it's another $999. If you want 6 months of code violations, it's another $999. So if you want all 6 lists, it's $6,000 for 6 months. You get one county, 50% off to add a county. But between now and Thursday, you get a free county for mentioning Marina and her code 1000, Marina 1000. I'm going to go ahead and open it up to Q&A, guys, but that's all I have. You guys have any questions?
Thank you so much, Tangie, for that information. I wasn't expecting the mail house, the 42 cents. That was a good bonus right there. I didn't expect that, but thank you.
No problem.
Okay, so your hottest leads is what?
Probates and pre-probates. They are by far some of the best leads there are.
No shocker there, right? This is things
Yeah.
that anyone who's been doing this for a long time knows that, probate, pre-probate, and I want to get into pre-probate in just a moment as well. They're going to be some of the most lucrative deals that you'll ever have, even with a small list, just because of the motivation level and just, the equity in the house, that those two worlds colliding make an awesome, amazing deal, So, one of the biggest objections that my students have, or questions or concerns that they have about pre-probate is it too early? So can you kind of handle that objection in terms of, we don't feel comfortable mailing to them right away, like a week or two after, their loved ones have passed?
That's a great valid point. And that's one of the biggest things that go along with my slide with people's fears.
Yeah.
And as long as you're using marketing that's not talking about their situation, there's no problem. And remind them that they're working probates and pre-probates every day and they don't even know it. Yeah. Marina, if you got, let's say, by the way, hi, Jennifer. I know who Jennifer is. If you are working a pre-probate list or a probate list, you know what you're working, right? But if I said, hey, I'm going to give Jennifer 10,000 random leads, they're homeowners who have 30% equity or higher that live in these types of areas, and their pain motivation may be this. She's not going to know what they are. She's just going to know they're homeowners who have 30% equity, right? But she could be mailing to probate. She could be mailing to somebody a week after somebody died. She could be mailing to somebody who just gone through foreclosure. She doesn't know what she's mailing, and she's comfortable in her skin because she doesn't know that. That's what goes along with me saying people get in their own way, right? So if I give you a list and I say, hey, these are just pre-probates. Well, now you're like, oh my God, but you just worked them last week and you didn't even know it. And you worked way more because you're marketing to a generic list. You have no idea who you're reaching out to, but you're okay with your marketing and you're solid and you're confident and you're going to go in there and be like, hey, I want to buy your house. I'm interested in purchasing the properties in the view select area. And I was just wondering if you had any. You're already doing this and you don't even realize it. But when I make you realize it, you're scared. You know what I mean? People are funny, but that's what you do is you just don't talk about their pain point. You don't bring it up. It just brings up a negative feeling in somebody. Just think about it. When you want to go to your mailbox, if somebody just died a week ago, what would you want to see? First question you're going to have is, how much can I get for my property? I wonder how much it's worth. God, can I even sell it right now? Like, what do I do? You got to think of what you would want to hear if you were them. What you'd want to hear is maybe a letter from a realtor going, hey, I can let you know the value for free. Tell me. You know what I mean? You want to hear that, right? Because your question is, I wonder how much I could get for this. That's one of your questions. Think about what your questions would be and what you would want to hear. Hey, don't clean, don't pick up, don't rehab, don't repair. Really? I don't got to do that. This guy's going to just come in and with a truck and take everything away for me. And all I got to do is walk around with a box and take all the personal things I wanted from mom and dad. I didn't know that. So people don't know what they don't know, but you want to tell them, but you want to not tell them. You want to tell them without telling them. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So your recommendation is, hey, you're targeting pre-probates, which are very lucrative. Send them a standard letter. Do not say, hey, sorry for your loss, et cetera, et cetera. Just say,
I mentioned what
you know,
happened. You could say, if you're going through foreclosure, you're going through divorce, you're
yeah,
going through probate. By the way, you don't have to wait. Then you're going to talk about all of it. You don't pinpoint. You know what I mean? Because then they're going
absolutely.
to make them mad.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's conversations that I have with my students, consistently with pre-probates, so thank you for answering that. That's the conclusion that we came up with as well, is send them a standard letter versus, a very intense, I'm sorry, or mourning grief letter,
I
so.
do have people that start their marketing off that way, and they're taught by their coaches to do it. And they say that they have great success, but they also have 85% of the people hanging up on them, screaming at them, calling them ambulance chasers. So you know what I tell them? I'm like, well, let me ask you a question. You say you have great success. Okay. You're closing, so many percentage of the people that you're talking to. What about all the other people you could be closing if you didn't offend those 85%? Think about that. Why did you put it? Why did you feel the need to bring up somebody that died? What did it gain you? Nothing. It gained you nothing. You know what I mean? There's no gain at all. You could have gained more to just be doing a standard letter or a standard postcard, you know?
Absolutely. In Massachusetts, there's so many on the petition, like for probate, there's so many contact information. You have the representative, the attorney, you have the deceased, so depending on who you target, I do recommend, addressing it if you're doing the representative directly, right? If you're sending it to the deceased house with their name, just a standard letter, right?
Yeah.
So it really depends who you're targeting, right? The attorney's going to have a different marketing tactic.
And I
So
give you an attorney letter to email. I give
that's
you a
great.
letter to mail to the property. I give you a letter to mail to the generic PR. So the thing is because on the pre-probate list, you're never going to have anybody to mail because there is no attorney yet and there's no PR yet. On the pre-probate list, you have to mail the property. But don't worry, somebody's over there checking the mail. Listen, like I said, people are 60 and 70 when they lose their parents. If they're not responsible enough to drive over, check the mail, mow the grass, and if they can't do that, they can have the mail forwarded for 6 months to a year after the death. And if they're not doing all that, do you really want to deal with them? No, you're not. You don't want to deal with somebody who is not handling the probate. If they can't check the mail, that's fine, but they can have it forwarded to them. So don't have the mentality, well, I don't want to mail probate property because who's there checking the mail? Well, you don't know, right? Would you check your parents' mail? I would, if I'm within driving distance. And if I'm not, I know my sister is. I'd have her be checking it. Hey, check that mail, because it could be the death certificate coming. It could be this coming. It could be the life insurance policy. It could be, somebody's going to handle the mail. And if they're not, you don't want to deal with them anyway. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But
Well,
on a pre-probate, that's all you got is the decedent's address. So what do? Who do you skip trace? You skip trace a decedent, and a really good skip tracing company is good and gets you the surrounding family members' phone numbers anyways. If you do have the PR list and it's a probate, then obviously skip trace the PR and call the PR and mail the PR.
absolutely. Again, every list is so different, every state. So, well, we have some good news. Jen, do you want to share the good news with Tangie here?
I'm reading Jen's message right now. Oh my gosh.
Hey,
Hi.
Tangie. Sorry, I'm not turning on the camera because I'm in a bad place. But yeah, so I was gonna let you know after it close, right, Marina? No roses till it
No
closes.
roses till it closes. That's our thing here.
But yeah, we're closing. So it was the first callback we got from the list after they received 2 letters. The first meeting that I had and the first offer, we went back only once and I only had to come up about $3,000 on my offer. But yeah, so we're closing on Thursday. And I see Lisa's comment because I was in the same boat with, oh my God, like I feel like I'm preying on people, right? And that's why I never bought the probate list. But for every letter you send out, you don't know how they're going to react, right? So if 10 hate you for it, but 2 don't, at least you got those 2. I mean, the profit from this project will more than pay for what I've already spent on the list. So, yeah, we'll see what happens.
That's amazing. I'm so excited. I recognized your name immediately, Jennifer. I'm like,
Yeah,
so
thank you. Good. And Tangie's great. She
story.
spends Yeah, I appreciate the time you've spent with me on it too. You know, just like Marina does, you help us take it to the finish line in the best way and the advice and everything. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for sharing.
So, so just so everyone knows, Jen needed a list to target. I said, hey, call foreclosures daily. She talked to Tangie. You committed what to the probate list, Jen?
Yes, and actually, admittedly, I still have pre-probates that I haven't hit yet. So I'm getting on the meeting, a Zoom with my VA with Kate after this, and I'm like, that's it. We've got to get it.
This is what
Listen,
you
I had
needed to get
somebody
it out the
wait 6
door.
months. I called somebody at 6 months after their subscription was over with. He goes, Tangie, you're never going to believe this. I never worked the list. I got so busy. I'm like, okay, so I know that you're not going to believe me, but it's not too late. Please, I'm begging you. I'm begging you. Just once, I'm begging you. This will all have been for nothing. Just mail him. Just mail him something. Mail him something and do one call. He got 7 deals off of 6-month-old leads. 7. I'm like, oh my God. He emailed me. He goes, Tangie, 7 closing. Like, you know, so I mean, people just like, that's why I don't like 3-month subscriptions. Cause you know, it's just, sometimes it's not enough. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's right away. But what happens, here's why. People are like, why can't I just work 3 months? I'll still work the list. I know I'm going to work it. That's not why. Because if I call you in 10 weeks and you haven't got a deal, you're not going to renew. You're not going to renew. And then you're going to stop marketing and you're going to feel defeated. And if you fail, you won't do it again. But if I force you to do a 6-month commitment or a year, you're going to get deals. You're going to get deals because I made you work it longer. I made you work it stronger. I made you put more into it. You got to have skin in the game. You can't have 1 foot in the door and 1 foot out and be like, oh, I'm just going to try it, because you're already failing by having that foot out the door and 1 in. You know what I'm saying?
And that's the other thing too. This is why I wanted this webinar, because it's so important to realize that, you know, list providers, fulfillment companies, they could be great MVPs and partners for your business where they're doing the work that you would be doing. But you know, what they're doing is saving you time, you know, to doing what you're supposed to be doing, you know, turning these leads into deals, you know. So yeah. So does anyone else have any other questions? Any other
And to
questions?
add to that, you don't want to be a glorified researcher. If you put that much time into research, it takes, guys, to boil it down to the ridiculousness. 300 people will die in 1 week. You have to take Jane Smith's name. You got to go to the property appraiser site, the tax collector site, pull up all 50 Jane Smiths, find the right one that died with real estate. Try doing that 300 times in 1 week. Oh my goodness. It's just, yeah.
Absolutely. That is not the best use of your time, you know, for even, you know, it's just no matter what, you know, when you're the owner of your company, of course, you're going to do it in the beginning, but then the number one thing is you're going to outsource it either to somebody in office or a list provider. You know, those are kind of your 2 options. If you're really taking your business seriously and, you know, acting like the CMO of your business, chief marketing officer. So awesome. Does anyone have any other questions before we let Tangie go here? All right, I don't see any comments, but oh, okay. The code is Marina 1000 to get the free county and 20 to 30% off until Thursday. I will add it in my Facebook group. I will add it to my YouTube, and I will email everybody today as well if they missed this webinar. Tangie, thank you so much for your time, your knowledge. Is there anything else you'd like to say, you know, before you go off here?
Just good luck, everybody. I hope you all get deals.
Awesome. Well, hopefully with your help, everybody will, you know, so we appreciate your time and we will be talking very soon. Thank you
Thanks,
very much.
Marina.
Of course, of course.